What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Let's Talk with Coach Stone. Here we go. We got Phebe in here. I'll tag you in a second. We're just going to wait for some people to come in. What's going on? Yes, Jan Can. Good to see you. Yes. How are you doing? We're going to get started with our special guest in a minute. Our friend Phoebe's in here. Yes, we love to go live with these conversations and bring, interesting people. My boy Kurt just popped in. Hey Kurt, how you doing? Kurt and I had a great conversation last week. That was a really good conversation. People are asking for him to come back. Yes. Phoebe's in the house, everybody. Gonna tag Phebe in a second. Kurt, what's going on, brother? Lucy, how you doing, Lucy? Blessed. I love it, man. I love it. I feel you on that. Even in the hard times, we got to look at the blessings, right? Okay. We got some people coming through here. We'll probably have some more people coming in a minute. But I'm going to tag in my friend Phebe right now. So we're going to get started. I'll tag Phebe in. Oh, we can't tag you in, Phebe. Phebe, I think you might have to go on your phone. It's not allowing me to bring you in on video. So you actually might have to go on your phone. It won't allow me to bring you in on video on here. Kurt, what's going on, brother? What are you doing? Sure, Phoebe, no problem. Man, the weather is nice here in Toronto, Canada. Jennifer, how you doing? We're about to get started in a minute. I got my special guest plotting and planning. Kurt said he's plotting and planning. Jennifer, how you doing? Lucy, how are you? All right, here we go. We got Phebe coming in here. My friend Phebe. Yes. There she is. Whoop, there she is. What's going on?
How are you? Oh.
Yeah, I'm good. Chris, what's going on, Chris? All right, we're good to go. We got Phebe in here, everybody. All right. So look, before we kind of jump in, I always just like to tell people a little bit about who you are. So Phebe and I have been friends for probably about 20 years now. Damn, like 20 years. And, Phoebe's somebody I admire because, she's been an entrepreneur for a very long time. And one of Phoebe's, well, she has a couple superpowers, but one of Phoebe's like real superpowers is being able to kind of connect people and to also have people understand that they have everything within them to be their own boss if they choose to. And I really love that you bring that to people, Phebe. So welcome to Let's Talk with Coach Stone. Glad to have you here. So tell everybody a little bit about what you do as an entrepreneur.
For sure. Well, first off, I want to say a huge thank you for inviting me to be on here.
Of course.
Totally, like it. I know I was thinking this morning as I was working out, it's been 20 years of life, right? Like it's just so proud of you and just everything that you're doing to inspire people and to support people and encourage people. Right. And so right away, like I'm going to call myself out right now. Started off for all those because Danny literally sent me a message probably about 3 weeks ago now, and you gave me the invite to be on like Instagram. I'm like, what do I have to do? Wait a second. I want to call myself out about it to start. Because you guys, one of the things that I always say is like, say yes with your heart before your head tells you no. Because my head was like, no, Instagram, no, we're not that thing. And I was like, but it's Danny, so it'll be fun, it'll be fine. And you guys, early this morning, I'm messaging him. I'm like, where do I go? What do I got to do? So surround yourself with great people. Another little lesson, surround yourself with great people. And just say yes, just figure it out. And literally even 2 minutes before this was going, I was on the wrong place again, just learning. So anyways, here we go. So what do I do? Well, right now, I have a couple different things that I'm working on. I'll first start with one of my passions, which is soccer. So I played soccer at 5 years old and coach. I started my own coaching company, which was actually one of my first kind of businesses, if you will. And right now I coach with Coquitlam Metro Fords. I live in Coquitlam in Vancouver in British Columbia. And I run a program for kids under 4 little wee ones. I run that program with amazing people. We have a great club support, great coaches, great parents that we work with. So it's a lot of fun. So that's one hat is Phebe from a soccer perspective. The other thing I do is I have an online business. So I've been with the company now for 13 years. Which has been awesome because it kind of gives you that flexibility. So that business, I help business owners and entrepreneurs learn how to implement gratitude and appreciation into their business as a way to grow their business, client loyalty, increase sales and profits. And so that's been great because I've learned a lot of years. And so it's nice to be able to now help business owners and entrepreneurs just the power of gratitude, appreciation, and really just staying connected. And so that's the other hat. And then most recently, again, I love learning.
Damn.
I've actually, one of my good friends partnered up with her and her company, and it's a dental recruitment agency. And so we help with any staffing needs with any dental offices all across the country. So that's been fun. It's been a newer venture where I'm learning a lot. And yeah, it's been really great.
When I introduced you, I should have said superwoman of the world. Phebe got all kinds of businesses. I should have said serial entrepreneur because she has 3 businesses on the go right now, right? And so, like, Phebe, were you like what is the first business that you ever started? What was the first thing you ever started?
So the first business I ever really started was a coaching company. So this is years ago. I was playing on the Vancouver Whitecaps, and I actually started coaching when I was in university. It just kind of naturally happened, or we were gently nudged into starting to coach at like summer camps and spring camps, and I really enjoyed it. So I just kind of kept going with it, and then I was doing camps for other friends that had their own camps. And it's funny because I was thinking about this too. I was just kind of reflecting on how we first connected, and Kwame was the first person who introduced us. And I remember talking to him saying, like, you know, I'm doing all this coaching and I'm coaching for other people. And then my math brain started working. I was like, wait a second, we could do our own camps. And he was like, you got to go read this Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So got the book, read through it. Kind of that was one of the catalysts that I reached out to my good friend, roommate, teammate at the time. Like, you know what, we should do our own. Let's start our own camps. And so we started, and funny enough, the name of the coaching, we started doing that, and we were literally like our team come out. We had so much fun because we'd go to Picton and Kelowna, and we just doing camps in different areas, and yeah, I had a blast with it. And so we did that for a couple of years on side. I was still time, so I was working while I started most things where it was like kind of a sideline hustle.
But I think that's a good lesson for people, Phebe, because a lot of people don't understand, a good majority of people who start a business, they start in 2 ways. One, they're already working and they started as a passion project / side hustle. And then, the other thing is, it's important to start a business doing something that you're actually passionate about. I see too many people run out and try something, and they try to do it because somebody else is making money. So I think there's like really 2 lessons there. Like, you can start something while you're working your full-time hustle and be passionate about it. What advice would you give people who are thinking about starting a business?
Absolutely. I mean, I was joking because I call it like your hustle hours, right? So you work your 9 to 5 and your hustle hours, which are like before work or after work. But I think you just got to go for it, because I think one of the things that I realized when I was working full-time, I studied kinesiology in university, and then I kind of took this position right out of school, and it was at a computer company, and we're doing online learning programs. And I'm definitely a person who loves to keep growing and learning. And so when I started at this position, everything was new, right? We were creating content for online programs. And so I was learning, and I was like, okay, I got to learn this and this and this. And then the company kind of morphed a little bit, and it got to the point where I felt like I wasn't being challenged, and I enjoyed what I was doing. I just was looking for something to challenge. And I think one of the beautiful things about entrepreneurship is you can find that. So that allowed a new challenge when we started Impact. It's funny, Sadie hopped on that was there. maybe. Yeah, so we started it, and it was, again, because we were learning. And I think one of the beautiful things about being an entrepreneur, and start something while you're working your 9 to 5, something that's fuel you and something that's going to joy in your life and something that you enjoy, that you have passion in, because it's going to allow you to continue on with that. And it actually fuels even some of the, when you're doing what you love in those hours, sometimes when you're in a position maybe that you're not loving much in your 9 to 5, if you will, it still brings that passion in your life. I do believe that we need to, prosper where you're planted. So if you're in a 9 to 5, give it your all that season. There's a reason that you're there. Figure out ways in other areas of your life that you can find that joy, so that you're still showing up. Because the thing is, we're fortunate for people who have 9 to 5. Be happy that you find the gratitude in that season. And one of the things, I'm grateful for learning at the computer company, because it helped. Well, except for getting on Instagram, clearly I didn't learn that from that, but it helped a little bit. Learn how to do some things that maybe I wouldn't have ever done before. So I think it's important to just find that. And I think I want to encourage people to just go for it, right? So that's why I started out joking with the say yes with your heart before your head tells you no, because I truly believe that all areas of your life, whether it's work and business and your hustle, or whether it's just in adventures and new opportunities and things like that. And that's why I'm so proud of you for going for it, right? And that vision, because it's not an easy one, right? It's not an easy one, and you have to figure out what really drives, right? So
yeah, I often tell people too, like when you're setting out to to start a business of any type, like you have to be clear about what it is that you're trying to create and why. Like your why I always say this, your why has to be bigger than your why need, right? The reason why you started this business and who you're trying to help and serve has to be bigger than any of the roadblocks and the hurdles and the how, right? The why has to be bigger than the how. And I see a lot of people who, just like I said, if your heart's not in it, you might last a few months, maybe even a year or two, and that's going to fizz out and the business is done, right? So I like that.
I love that, though. Your why's got to be bigger than your why need. That's brilliant. But I people too, because I always say, there's so much power in writing things down. And I know Danny and I were joking before. I literally have my pen and paper here.
Good. I got my, yeah.
I want to plug that in, but I want to encourage people who are watching is drop those nuggets, those little gems that come out of the conversation, put it in there, please, because it's going to help us so we can go back to and just see some of them, and it's going to help other people as well. And I love that, Danny. That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
And so, the other thing too, I think that we should let people know is that you don't have to have this perfect plan. Like you kind of just stumbled into, sounds like almost all the businesses you've gotten involved with. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like how did you kind of just stumbled into the soccer thing, and then you stumbled, talk a little bit about you don't have to have a perfect plan to get started.
So true. Just stumble forward. I think that's the key, right? Is as long as you're stumbling forward and towards something, that's the piece of it. So how did I get started? And so the coaching thing, as I kind of already shared a little bit about that, with my online business, it's funny how that kind of happened. Is I actually had started in another online kind of company. And in that, again, make great connections, made a connection with a good friend in that company. And I honestly, guys, I was not having success in that other I believe it was meant to happen to lead me to people in your life. And that's why I say, can you find those gems out of it and find the gratitude in it? And I literally, because this particular company is based on personalized mail. And so I remember I was living downtown, what most people, our mailboxes are full of bills, junk mail. We rumble through it and throw it away. And I got this card in the mail, and I was and had a couple pictures, nice message. I was totally blown away. I called him to say thank you. And I was curious how he did it, because we had been friends for, a long time. And he shared this company with me. I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. I wasn't a big card person though, you guys. I was the family member present. I'd write happy birthday on the wrapping. I was greeting cards. I don't know. And but this is the other lesson: is success leaves clues. And he was a very successful entrepreneur himself. And so he was like, well, you could use it in your soccer company. Send cards, take pictures of the kids, send them cards. And he gave me a bunch of ideas, and I was like, okay. And he said, it's an online company, and if you want to, you can get paid to share it. And that's for me where I had like the little light bulb, I want to say, popped in, because even though I wasn't at the time a big person, I realized that there were millions of people around the world who naturally are. I knew I could grow into that. And now I love it. But back then it was kind of like that moment of like, okay, well, this is online. And I wanted to have something, sorry, let me back up. In between that too, I'd started learning about real estate investing. And so when I read that book before Dad, I wanted to figure out ways to create passive residual income, because I wanted to be able to have that lifestyle. Travel when I wanted to travel. There was a couple catalysts in my job when I was working full time. I had to ask my boss for time off. He was like, okay, it was literally to go on a road trip, you guys. I asked my boss for time off to go on a road trip, and he was like, yeah, we should be able to do it. And I like kept my cool on my face, but inside I was like, what do you mean we should be able to do it? You better believe I am going on that trip.
Right.
I'm cracking up because I'm seeing your wife's beautiful comments about
my Trinity's like, I love your hair.
Oh yeah, scheduled it after hair appointment. You guys, hair was different story. Anyways, so literally that kind of was one of those catalysts too in my full-time position that made me realize that if I ever wanted to have control of my life, I needed to have my own business, and I needed to, or not necessarily even your own business, I needed to have cash flow coming in, whether I was working actively. So there's linear income, you work once, get paid once, and there's residual or passive income, work once and get paid over and over again. And I knew if I wanted to have that lifestyle, if you will, and have those choices and control of it, I would have to figure out a way. So I did have a real estate investment experience, learned a lot of lessons. That's a whole nother conversation. However, when I saw this other online business, and he was saying how I could get paid to share it with people who could use it, and then every time they're using it, whether I'm there or not, I could earn a percentage of that. That's where I was like, wait a second, that's residual income. That's that income that I was working over here with real estate investing to create, and I can do it over here while making people smile with a card in the mail. I'm like, that makes sense to me. And so I got started in that business, and I just, I just kept showing up. I would listen and learn and go to events and take notes and listen to podcasts. And I really just put myself in it, because the other thing too is, and I know you're big into this in terms of goal setting and kind of vision and forecasting, is one exercise that I learned, and this was after a couple of years, but I realized I kind of did it in my mind a little bit, is really just look forward. And I tell everyone to do this: look forward where you want to be in the next 5 years or 10 years or 15, however you want to do it. But what does that look like? And so that moment that I had at my full-time job, I saw that happening over and over again with other things. What if I wanted to go on, what if I needed to take time off? And it worked out. I was able to go. However, it did hit me that if I wanted anything to change, I had to start putting things in place and start saying yes to things that maybe it was going to be a little uncomfortable. Maybe I was going to have to step outside that comfort zone that so many of us get comfortable in if I wanted to have what I wanted to have. And so I just challenge people to take that time and just say, what does that look like? What does life look like? And what can you start doing right now to set yourself up for that? And I know you're big on that as well, Danny. So
I think that's great. CP2 brand said it's all about building relationships. But what you said too, I think is important, because how many of us have been at a job where we asked for some time off and we pretty much had to beg our boss to give us that time off? If that's ever happened to you, give me a thumbs up or a heart. If you've ever had to beg your boss for some time off, thumbs up, yes, heart. Because I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be like, you put in all this hard work at your job and you're like, I only want a week off. It's not even a big deal. Or 2 weeks off. It's not even, and then it's a lot of, let me think about it. We have to work things out. We're not really sure we can let you get that time off. And it's like, well, you were cool when I was putting in 12-hour days. You were cool when I was skipping my lunch, right? And so I completely can relate to that. And that's one reason I tell people, like, at the very least, start a side hustle so that you don't have to solely depend on this job. And if you ever choose to transition out or have to take time off, you can do that, right? And so I'm glad that you said that.
That flexibility. And I mean, again, I want to make sure everyone understands, like, I truly believe, like, it depends on what your passions are. And for some, a job, as long as you're enjoying it, like, that's the key, right? Is enjoying where you're at. So and it is important to have options. And I mean, seeing COVID and everything that's going on right now, it's that reminder for all of us, the importance of, yes, being thankful and grateful. If you have a job and you love it, work there, rock it, have fun with what you're doing. That's important. At the same time, if you're not, can you look at something else? And even if you are loving your job, it may be a good idea to start something if you feel called to and you feel passionate about, because we just don't know what can happen, right? If we thought back, you know, when I have this exercise I encourage people to call your perfect day. Yeah. And when I think about that, and we can talk about that a little bit more in a minute, but you better believe the whole COVID situation, that didn't even register in terms of being set up. However, I'm thankful looking back that I have an online business that is continuing to grow and thrive, because in the dental world, I mentioned I started with an Inspire. It's a shift right now. The offices are just starting to get back to it. So there was a huge pause in that. And thankfully, I had this other income source coming in. So we're not coaching right now, unfortunately, and I miss it. Hopefully we'll be back in the field soon. So I do want to encourage people to just think about it, because what if something like this were to happen again? This is giving us kind of a little bit of a insight, and hopefully, and I do want to just say, for those of you who have been impacted from health-wise or family, like my heart hurts for you in terms of that. Just look at it and see, how can we come out of this bigger, better, stronger, prepared, just to go forward and really thrive in life.
Well, I mean, that's great. Trudy said you got to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Most people focus on what if I fail, when they should be asking themselves, what if I succeed?
Absolutely.
You know, Trudy said there is no such thing as failure. It's gathering information. CP2 brand said everything is a learning experience. Embrace the change. And so one thing that I love that you said, Phebe, is, you know, residual or quote unquote passive income. And so that's what I teach people how to do. I teach people how to leave their corporate job, or start a side hustle using their knowledge and their passion, and converting that into an online course or a program. And like you said, you create it once, or you do the work up front, and then you kind of have that money coming in all the time. I've developed courses, you know, years ago that still make me money, right?
Yeah.
Or writing a book, or because we're moving into the knowledge economy right now, where you can sell your knowledge, you know, through books, through programs, through courses, you know, through what you're talking about, and that continue to have that residual income. So I'm glad that you kind of said that, because yeah, I think that's something for people to think about.
Absolutely. And I love that you're helping people discover that with your course, like to be able to help someone learn what is it they want to do. I think that's so important. Again, it's like surrounding yourself with great people. And, you know, some of us are like born into amazing families that support us and cheer, and I'm thankful because I've had amazing like family members who are like, go for it. Some of us may not have that, seek elsewhere, right? And the fact that you're offering that, and to be another resource, another level for people to tap into that, I think is huge. And so I love it. Yeah, everything that you're doing, I just think is awesome, and you're changing lives, right? And that's
thank you. Well, so are you. You know, you're teaching people who are feeling stuck in their lives that there's more, right? Like, you know, people who never considered, you know, starting their own business, now you're helping them transition into that. And so, like, how do you feel when somebody who, you know, comes to you and says, Phebe, I never thought I could do this. Like, this is amazing. I'm making money. Like, how does that make you feel, knowing that you've impacted people like that?
I love it. I mean, I just love seeing people shine. So whatever people do, and it's just exciting. Like, I truly love seeing people in their greatness. And I believe if everybody was able to operate and live their life in a way where they're joyful and they're happy, it just, the ripple effect that it spreads on other people's lives. So I love it. Like, I am the joke on our team, like that I'm always like, woohoo, because I literally am like, I want everything. And I did a training on this a while ago, but I talk about, like, I want everyone to think of a harvest, right? We all have this idea of like, okay, the harvest and the farmer. And at the end of the day, if we want to have a harvest, we have to celebrate the planting of the seed. So it's that small stuff along the way that we want to celebrate, and we need to celebrate. We need to celebrate ourselves, all of our like little seeds, because, you know, if you're not able to whatever your business is or whatever you do, just think about how can you celebrate those small moments, because those small moments are what can lead to the big moments. It's, you know, if the farmer doesn't plant the seed, there is no harvest. So let's celebrate all the seeds that happen along your journey. And I love what Trudy said earlier. Yeah, there is no such thing as failure. It's a learning experience, right? What can you learn from that takes you along to the next journey or the next phase in your life, season in your life, right? So I love seeing people shine. I love, you know, when people find that spark in them, whatever that may be, whether it's in our company, in our business, in another business. I just love seeing people shine. So
yeah, I think we're the same like that. I just love to see people win. And I love to see people kind of have these breakthroughs in things that they never knew about themselves, like these new discoveries. And it's not just about business, just about themselves. Like, I didn't know that I could do this. I never knew I had this talent. I didn't know that, you know, this was possible. I just love seeing that for people. So I'm with you. Let's check out some of the comments here. So Paige said, we will stand and helping each other, and this will pass. This duet, Anderson said, Phebe has been an amazing coach and mentor. I love that. Yeah, Phebe is awesome. You know, that's why I have her here, because she's awesome and she's dropping all kinds of knowledge right now. Trudy said, yes, I acknowledge the small moments are what I teach. Small moments are what I teach my weight loss clients. And I think that's really important, Phebe, because sometimes when you have a big goal and it's so far away that you can't see the end of it. And so what you said is really important, is like celebrating the daily wins, the weekly wins, and the monthly wins, right? Absolutely. I think that's very important.
Absolutely. I remember, and we talked a little bit about that whole comfort zone thing. And this is the thing, if you guys can imagine, right, we have our little comfort zone, and this kind of ties into our goals. Let's make a circle, kind of, there we go. And often what happens is there's something that we want or something, and it's like way over here. It's off the screen, way over here. And we're like, I'm going for it. And it's like, whoa. Just sometimes it's about just stepping a little bit outside of that comfort zone, and then a little bit more. Once you get outside of that, like, okay, yeah, I can do this. And then it's like, okay, here we go, a little bit more. Now the comfort zone has grown a little bit. And then you keep going, and then it grows a bit, and then you keep going, it grows a bit, and grows a bit. And then all of a sudden, that thing you just said, or goal, or activity, or whatever something is you want, you're like, okay, I'm there. You've done it because you continue to grow. And so oftentimes, yeah, we set these, you know, huge things, and it's like, whoa. And then sometimes people shrink back because it is so far. So it's like, how can you bring it in and just continue to grow that comfort zone? And like you'll be there, right? So, and you can draw it, like if you actually sit there and draw the circle, and then you actually see, and you just see how it's going to continue to grow and continue to grow. Because, you know, and I had a mentor share that if you got nervous when you think of something, it's because it is outside your comfort zone. But get excited about that, because everything that you want is outside of your comfort zone anyway. So get excited about that feeling, because you're working towards that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, like, Phebe, I know you're really great at like building relationships. You're really great at not only building relationships and maintaining relationships. And I've been talking to people a lot about this over the last, you know, actually probably 4 or 5 weeks, about the power of building relationships and maintaining those relationships. Like, and I know you're really great at that. So, like, what would you say about that in terms of just either your personal life and business together?
Absolutely. Relationships, that's what it's all about, you guys. So it's like, how do you build those? How do you nurture them? I think it's just coming from a genuine place, right? And just reaching out and, you know, saying the little, hey, how are you doing? With the business that I'm in, it's greeting cards. So it's a gift. So it's easy to, you know, reach out in kindness to people and just to let them know that you're thinking of them, especially right now when it is such a challenge. You know, the message that I've received, and Dan, you're phenomenal about this, acted and sent those little notes and saying, hey, how are you? Video message, a voice message, pick up the phone and call, you know, just looking for ways to connect with people and show that you truly, you care about them as a person. It's not about them being a client or a future client or a business partner or anything. It's about them being a human being with feelings and emotions and life. And the challenges that come in life, that you see them, you hear them, you understand. Sometimes it's just being that friendly face. Like, I like to have fun, you know, so I'll send, you know, a wacky birthday video that just because it's fun. And I know going to make the other person laugh. I'm definitely not a singer. I yell at 5 so voice.
Phoebe sends me every birthday. She's 6, happy birthday. I get a voicemail message from Phoebe, and it's like I look forward to it every year because every year I get this happy birthday. She sings it to me, and it just makes me laugh and light up. And I always tell my wife Trudy, and it's just this fun thing. But you know, I think Phoebe, you and I, it comes natural to us, but I think a lot of people have to work at like being conscious about reaching out to not just clients, like your family, your friends. And, you know, one of the things I used to do, and I still kind of do this, but when I used to work, every Friday afternoon, I would make a list of 3 people I'm going to connect with, whether they were friends or people, contacts I had made and never, you know, hadn't talked to. Every Friday afternoon, 3 new people. And it sounds kind of weird to be that regimen, but I think if you're not really good with reaching out to people, or sometimes you go into yourself, especially in difficult times, I think you have to consciously like make that effort to be like, okay, today I am going to call my brother, my sister, my friend, and just do it. Right.
I love that. And that's a great point. You're right. Like for some, and I think, to be honest, now that you're saying that, I'm like, I think I have kind of learned this over the years, because I'm thinking back, I'm like, was it something I naturally did? I don't, you know, I'm not sure. I mean, to some extent, probably yes, however, not to the extent now. And I love that. I think sometimes you do have to schedule those things in. And one of the things I learned so much through a mentor and my current company is about acting on promptings. And so a prompting, right, is that thought or feeling that hits you just like that. And it's usually like, okay, so-and-so, someone pops into your heart. And a lot of times, because we're so go, they pop in and then they're gone. So if we can, there's a reason that you were prompted with that person.
Phoebe, me and Trudy, my wife, just had this conversation right before this happened. I said, when you feel like you're being called or you have this prompting to reach out to somebody, there's a reason. You have to do it. It can be maybe they need to hear from you. Maybe you need to hear from them. Even if nothing happens in that conversation other than catching up, there's a reason that person is on your mind. So act on it. Let me call. And I'm like that all the time. And usually it just works out like that person needed to hear from me, or I needed to hear from them, or it was just a great catch up. And now we're up to speed and we don't have to talk again for another 3-4 weeks or whatever, even longer. Right?
It's so powerful. And when you start living your life with that, whether it's a prompting to call, a prompting to, you know, pay for the person behind you at Starbucks or Tim Hortons or whatever it is, when you start living your life like that, it's interesting because the prompts become stronger and they become, and like literally you guys, especially like with send cards, because we teach a philosophy of every day send a card to someone that when you're prompted with that to act on it. And that's one way to do it. And it's interesting because there's been times where, and again, it's acting on the prompting and releasing the prompting. So not expecting anything in return. You're acting on that prompting because you felt called to and prompted to, and that's why you did it. But you're not looking for a result out of it. So one of the things is the amount of stories I've heard from people where I have acted on that prompting through that time it was a card, that they got the card the day they needed the most. I even remember one person who I asked, like, oh, because I was just checking, like I wanted got it. She's like, no, it never came. And then a week later, I get a message from her, and it actually, the card did come, but it got lost in her mail or something. And she found it the day she had broken up with her partner at the time.
Wow.
The card came, and it was like, she was like, oh my gosh, it came exactly at that right moment. And that's how promptings work. You act on them. It could be a video, a phone call, a message. When you act on them, it's about that other person. It's about you had them on your heart for whatever reason. Sometimes we won't even know the reason. However, it's a ripple effect. So even if you call that person, you have a conversation and you're just thinking, hey, it was just a general catch up. Yeah, duh, things are good. They might have said things are good. You know, I did that video the other day when I saw someone, I was like, yeah, I'm good. No, I really wasn't at that moment. So sometimes people will say that, but that acting prompting will change their day. And the thing too that I just think is so powerful, and when we sit and truly think about it, it's not just impacting that one person, it's a ripple effect. Because when you positively impact that one person's life and now they go out, think about the day when someone leaves their house in a good mood or they're leaving their house in a not so. It continues, right? So when you act on that prompting, whatever it is, you're now not just changing someone's day, but what happens after that with that ripple effect? There's going to be stories we'll never know, and we don't need to know.
Right.
It's not knowing, it's just about us acting on them. So when you feel just it's interesting, it'll come stronger and stronger. It's like that muscle, right? Nurture it and work it, the stronger it gets. That's the things, and I mean the stories that happen when people, it's powerful. I've been on the receiving end. I mean, I've been on the receiving end of many times where people just felt like I had to call you. Felt like you've been a person where you've reached out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just needed that little message.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, keep going. So,
yeah. Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have that, people like you and lots of other friends that they just reach out at the same time, or we have these really amazing conversations, and at the end of it, I just leave like supercharged. And because being a business owner can sometimes be very lonely and daunting, and you go through the ups and downs in your business. And I'm in the business where it's about motivation and inspiration and really, you know, trying to fire people up. And sometimes I'm out here and I put out messages and it's crickets and nobody says anything. And I realize that that's okay, because I realize that people don't always, you know, people internalize things. They might read the message and be like, this is exactly what I needed, and never say anything. But I think you're right. You have to come from these things with from the right place. Like, a lot of people are looking for this instant gratification. I do something for you so that you can acknowledge and make me feel good about me doing something nice for you. And that's not what it's about. If you're being prompted to do something, or you're being called or pulled towards reaching out or traveling to a certain place or searching for another job, I always say, if you feel like you're being called to do something, then you got to answer the call, right? Because that's what you're supposed to be doing at that particular time.
Answer the call.
Right. So let's look at the comments. Paige Felicia said, our mother, we've grown used to saying, you're never too old to learn. I love that. Trudy said, Danny is a master of connection. Thanks. You have to say that. She's my wife. Felicia said, love you guys. I got to get back to work. Thanks for joining it. Thanks for tuning in. So Phebe, what would you say, like, you know, is a big challenge? Like, what's a big challenge that you've had in your life that you kind of had to overcome? And like, how did you get through that? A lot of people ask me that all the time, because you and I kind of have this personality where like, we're out there, we're constantly motivating people, and people don't look at it like we can have bad days, bad months, bad years, or go through difficult things. So, you know, talk to us a little bit about a difficult situation that you've been through and kind of how you got through it.
Yeah.
Well, I know there's a lot, but whatever one you want to talk about.
There's a lot. I guess, well, the most would be with my dad passing and going through the worst season of life. So that was in 2012. So he was diagnosed in 2010. And so going through, you know, I'm so thankful that, side note, for having your own thing, because if I was working full time, for sure, I would have been fired, or I would have just quit, because I wanted that time to just be there. And so that season of life was extremely dark and rough, and I don't even know the words. So how did I get through it? I mean, definitely.
You and your dad were really, really close, right?
Yeah, extremely. So my mom, huge support. My mom is amazing, and so lots of prayer for me, because it was a very tough time. Amazing friends and family who just kind of, like, you were huge, Jenny, in that time, just of reaching out, because I just kind of withdraw. Like, if I don't feel like I have something of value, and if, like, to say like, hey, keep going, if I don't have that, I'm just gonna like turtle away. And so definitely having great people, lots of personal development that helped me before. So going, you know, having a strong foundation of like, realizing that it's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. What we're going through right now is horrible. It's challenging, and realizing that, you will make it through. You don't know how long it's going to take, but you will make it through. And I guess just having awesome people who are like, we're not going to let you not come out of it, but give you the space. So if you have people in your life, like, one thing that just meant so much to me is just when people would just send a message. It wasn't a like, hey, how you doing? Like, it was, because I'm not doing well. I'm horrible. Like, my dad's So it wasn't a matter of that. It was just that, hey, love you. That's it. Like, it was just those short little, you don't even have to respond to this. I just want you to know I'm praying for you. You don't have to respond. I want you to know that I care about you. You don't have to respond to this. I just want you to know whatever it was. That was actually what I think helped so much. And then, yeah, just amazing people, because I think that's, for right now, it's so relevant because it is such a tough time, and knowing that we are going to be okay and we are going to make it through, and have to feel the roller coaster of emotions and figure out, actually just yesterday I posted a message on Facebook just asking people, like, what do you do when I was joking, what do you do when your state's like this and you want to flip it like this? Like, what do you do? So everyone has little things that help change that state. So I think it's yeah, you got to figure out. And I think it's important too. I heard this, I've always had a gratitude list. And so it's in my phone, and literally like a couple clicks. Yeah. So I have a gratitude list, and I just list things I'm grateful for. I literally, you guys, phone, and this touches when you said you had those 3 people you reached out to a week. In my phone every single day at 9:10 p.m. I have a reminder, an appointment with myself, and it says, I'm so grateful that ... Every single day at 9:10 p.m. that comes up, and it makes me pause, and I go, what am I grateful for? Now, I do gratitude and prayer in the morning and at night too, but that it just is that change, right? Because all of a sudden now I have to go, what am I grateful for? You got to find, and you have to find, even in the worst seasons, find something that you can hang on to. And I think that was probably, something. And I mean, I'm still dealing with it. Like, it's not, you go it's not something you have rough times in life. It's not something that I don't think you come out of it, you grow through it, and you find new ways to handle certain emotions. And sometimes it is get lost in a book or go for a workout or whatever it is and sometimes you just have to embrace that and realize. So,
no, I mean, thanks for sharing that. I think, a lot of us who've had to encounter some type of loss, it's very, the other thing too is sometimes it's difficult to let people in. Like, people are reaching out to you and trying to, and sometimes, like you said, if you're not at the top of your game and you're not like your normal cheerful self, you're afraid to kind of let people in. And I think in life, and I've had this conversation with a few people. It's very important to have people in your life that, like you said, you're looking to the future with. So there's people in my life who I'm like, once I get to this level in my business and living life on my own terms, who are the people that I want to be there, right? And if something bad happens and I really need people around, who are the people that I want to be there? And I think a lot of people don't look at relationships like that. I don't think people are just like, oh, we've been friends for 20 years, and you kind of either take it for granted. But being a good friend is partly about being honest with your friends and saying, this is where I am, I'm not in a good place. But also allowing them to be there for you the same way that you're always there for them. And that's not easy to do, all the time.
It's definitely not. And I mean, I'm definitely a work in progress when it comes to that. I'm way better. I also think, though, sometimes it's when you go through a season like that, challenge in time of my life, there were only certain people that I felt like I could or I wanted to respond to, because there were people who I knew would allow the emotion and not just glaze over it. And when you're in a rough season, the last thing you want, you want someone who, yes, they're going to look towards the future with you. They're also going to acknowledge the present right now.
Of course, yeah.
You find who are those people that you want around. Really, I remember hearing this. I'm big in personal development, and it was John Maxwell. Because he was telling this story about someone he was golfing with was asking about this other guy. He was like, well, tell me about this guy. Tell me about this guy. And John's response was so powerful. He was like, well, I can't really tell you about him because I've never seen him in a tough time. And I was like, wow, because again, it's different when you see someone and they're always like, yeah, but how do they make it through the rough stuff in life? Because that's the one thing we know, you guys, is there's always going to be rough stuff in life. So it's going to happen. How do you through it? Who's around you? Who are the people you want around you when you're going through it? And can you be that person for someone else when they're going through it? The people who, you know, have shown up in so many different ways in my life since that horrible season have just been like rocks and so I've formed some new friendships and new relationships in different ways. And I'm a different person now. You know, if we had this conversation, you know, if we had, even if I even said the word like 5 years ago, we would have to cut the broadcast. I would be falling hysterically. Like I wouldn't even have the conversation. And so you have to grow through it, and you get to points where now you can see those moments of gratitude where I am grateful I had time. I am grateful I had an amazing, and I still in my heart have an amazing father who showed me and taught me so many lessons. And my mom and my dad are the reason I'm who I am, who I've surrounded myself with. So there's so many things to be thankful for. And I know the other piece too is there's no way the amount of time that I withdrew, I could hear my dad being like, let's go, come on. It was the one, right? That calls everyone friends, has conversations forever. So for me, I'm like, that's the way that I want to continue on.
You said it. I mean, gratitude. You're so true. Gratitude and just being grateful for the memories and the time that you have, and being grateful for the things that you have. I mean, let's be real. In life, there are millions of other people who are in worse situations, and that doesn't take away from our worst season, but it's about perspective too, right? So let's take a look at the comments here. Jill said, those seasons are the hardest. Chandra said, love you, Phoebester. Dr. Tachi, what's going on? Duet Anderson said, you moved through that tough time with such grace and leadership. Trudy said, I love that. I program affirmations in my calendar at 7 a.m. each day so that she'll be grateful. She'll add that to Jill said, some people literally keep you glued together in your toughest of seasons. So Phoebe, I want to go back because you mentioned that you posted something on your Facebook a few days ago. Talk to us about what that post was about. You remember the post, the one that?
Which one? Video?
What's that? About the
Video?
response about not.
Oh yes. So, yeah. Okay, you guys. So it has been a very another challenging time. So I just felt, and again, this is why it's so important to have great people around you, and also, how do I explain? Like, just surround yourself with quality people, because so I had on my heart, like my heart has been so heavy. My aunt recently passed away. Then, you know, going through and just all the stuff that's happening. It happened in this. Thank you. And a good friend of mine when we were in high school just recently passed, like, so, and then, you know, George, everything. So it's been like such a heavy, and my heart just like literally is heavy. And so I've kind of just, you know, taken some time to reflect myself and again, find the gratitude, things like that. And it's interesting because on my heart, I was like, I gotta post something. What am I gonna say? I don't know what to say. And so I kind of like, you know, reflect a little bit more. And cousin of mine called me on Sunday, and we were chatting. He was just like, how are you? And I was like, well, you know, and we had this like very real and raw conversation. And he was like, you know, he goes, when you're ready, there's people that I think you know, that would love to hear and should hear how you're really doing. And I was like, you know, like okay, yes, however, I don't know if I want to go there, you know. And again, this is where speaking, and I know it's so important to have people in your life who only want the best for you, and truly, again, they'll act on that. But he felt that he needed to reach out to me and have that conversation and give me that little nudge. And so that the next day, and I was like, okay, I will. I just don't know when. I have to, and I'm also a big person. Like I'm not. I want to provide value, and it is going to provide value. So like posts and videos and things like that, I truly like. I'm always like, the prayer before is like, let one person be impacted by what I say, and if I don't feel like it's not for me, it's for that one person or whoever that would be. And anyways, the next morning I was working at, just saw someone on the trail, hey, and, you know, quick little normal, how are you? separate ways. And I said good. And you know what? It was like that. I just felt that like, I was like, I'm not. And I realized that that was what I wanted to talk about in that video, just to share that it's important to let people know, you know, how are you? And I'm used to being a person who's always like, you know, if I'm going to put a video out, I'm going to be like, okay, let's learn, let's grow, let's cheerlead, let's, you know, I want to add that. So it was from a different perspective, what it is like to grow up, born and raised in Vancouver, and what it's like to be a Black female in this city. And so I just kind of shared that, and check it out, it's there. But it's, and the response, I mean, the number of people, I'm thankful that my cousin nudged me. I'm thankful actually right before, or earlier that day too, I got a call from my pastor and we just had a good chat. And so I'm thankful for those people who spoke into my life that allowed me to feel like, okay, this is the time. And so, yeah, I just kind of spoke from my heart of how I've been feeling. And it has, you know, the people who have reached out from all backgrounds that have just said, like, either they want to learn, they're like, how do I have these conversations with my children? I never knew, like literally the amount of people who were like, I never knew. And I don't go into detail because I mean, Danny, we could do a whole day of conversations of all these things we've had to endure. Right? Like,
you know, and I think one thing too, and I've been seeing some people post this, people of color too in Canada, saying that racism doesn't exist in Canada. And I don't even know how to react to that. I mean, it's so ridiculous to think that racism doesn't exist in every country, in every city in the world. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, me growing up in Nova Scotia, I've definitely experienced, you know, lots of racism systemically, you know, with the police and so on. And I think it's important to acknowledge that, because that's how, like, if you don't talk about it, you know what I mean? You can never get past it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's so important. And when I saw your message, I was like, man, you know, exactly what Rochelle is saying. She said, I appreciate how open you've been, Phebe. It's given others the space to feel okay expressing themselves as well. And that's true. That's exactly what we want. Like, your post just opened up this dialogue for people and gave them an awareness that they might not have had. And I think that was really kind of brave of you to do that, and to put yourself out there like that, you know, because it's not these hey, everything's fun messages.
No, because it's not okay. You know, I saw one friend, actually two friends in the same day. One had posted it like on a thread, and then one sent me a message about feeling like they're going through PTSD. And I was like, yeah, SD, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Sorry, I'm all over now, my brain.
That's all right.
And it was interesting because I never thought about it like that. Like, I never, you know, and it was the same day that both of them. And the reason I think it hits everyone so hard is because you're reliving all the experiences that you've gone through all your life, where you're like, wait a second, why is this? Like, I remember like so much detail, random detail about the very first time, and like that it was a situation, like such a like random situation, and you're like, what is going on? And it's like, if I could go back to that little girl and have a conversation with her, it's like, what would I be saying? And then it happens again and again and again, and now you're at this moment and you're seeing the horrific situations. And I think the thing I want people to understand, it's not one situation. It's not this one situation, that horrific situation, was videotaped. There are so many stories, unfortunately, and names of people that we won't even know that it's horrific situations. There's the ones that we know, and it's like no more. So we do have to have these conversations and push people to have it. You know, I literally, like, for a couple of days wasn't even able to sleep because all I could see was like family members, friends, their faces, and being like, you know, the day I recorded that video was my brother's 46th birthday. And that was the other thing that hit me, because I was like, George Floyd was 46 years old. Like, and it just gets you to your core. And so we have to start having these uncomfortable conversations and saying, you know, the reason that I felt like, again, called and acting on those promptings is because I did feel called that I needed to shed a little bit of light for people who their perspective is different, because of they don't have the same color skin. So they're like, what do you mean? We're in Canada, everything's fine. Right. Yes, I'm fortunate that we live in Canada, and I'm definitely grateful. Yeah. However, we still go through things and we still need to come together as a people. And as you said, racism exists everywhere. Yes, because there's people who have very hateful hate in their heart. So wherever they go, that's coming with them. And until we can having those conversations, and it's interesting because it's like there's times where we're going to have people that will hate us because of the color of our skin. There's going to be times though where people will have those conversations. I might not be there. It might be a whole group of people that are having the conversation that they feel, and because Phebe Trotman's not sitting there, that's where people start stepping up and going, whoa, no, I'm not being a part of it. Because we can have more people allies. It's one thing for me to be in that circle when someone says something, and now, believe me, I will speak up. However, what if we're not? That's the piece, right? Like when I saw, I just blanked on the names, the situation in the park, and the fact that she was like, with the one who called the cops on. Oh yeah. Watcher. Like, she probably was, who knows? Like I saw a post about it. She might be the one who's like, yeah, things are good. I have a black friend, I have this friend, I have this friend. But what happens when put a shove, right? I go back to that John Maxwell thing, that quote about how are people in their tough times. And what this is showing us is a lot of eye-opening moments about the people and the people in your circle who are stepping forward and saying like, hey, I got you. I got you whether you're there or not. I got your children. I got your family. I got everyone, because you're a human being and you deserve to have a fair life. And the people who are like still kind of a little bit, you guys know, I'm like at Facebook, I accept everybody. I literally had to take people off my friend. Like, wait a second, you're talking about what over here? We have a human being who was like so it's been a lot, and it's going to just continue. So
no, it's been a lot, and I think people don't understand that these incidents have happened to us since the beginning, since we were born. So we've had lots of experience with racism and discrimination. And so, like Trudy said, she said, OMG, this happened to me last night, where she started replaying instances that have happened and realized that she was being discriminated against. Duet Anderson said, wow, this is how I felt in the past few days. I totally relate to the PTSD. Renita said, yes, PTSD as well, experiencing a collective of lived trauma through shared experiences. Like, this is a whole conversation that we could have. I don't even know. I might have to bring you back for part 15, right? Because it's real. But I didn't want to make the conversation just about this, and that's why. But I also want to acknowledge, and this is what I'm trying to express, is that sometimes we have to do difficult things. And sometimes you have to speak out. Sometimes you have to stand up for yourself and your beliefs. And not necessarily when it comes to race and discrimination, but just who you are trying to be in this world. Because not everybody's going to be on board with your goals and your dreams. And I think that's what's important. So, Phebe, we got about like 2 minutes left. So what do you want people to know? By the way, everybody, make sure that you follow Phebe Trotman. Phebe, make sure you follow her. Like, you see what you're getting here, right? I don't have to tell you. You need to follow her. So we got about 1.5 minutes left, Phebe. What do you want people to know?
I want people to know, go after your dreams with confidence, with passion. Look back in your life at moments where you have accomplished incredible things, things that you may have just glazed over and went, well, that's just part of what we do. No, you did that. So celebrate yourself with that, acknowledge it, take that confidence. It's a muscle, so continue to flex it and build on it, accomplish those things. I do want to leave people with this really quickly, Danny, too, is I want them to think about their perfect day, and I'm going to do it super short, and I'll do a video another time. Because that exercise has literally helped me from being like a lighthouse. What's the thing? Lighthouse. My brain's, yeah, there we go. In that, here's what you do with the perfect day. You take some time, you go somewhere quiet, you literally write and think, what does your perfect day look like? How do you wake up? Who do you wake up with? What's your health like? What's your financial, all the things, financial health, your spiritual health, emotional health. What does that look like from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed? What does that day look like for you? for you, right in the present tense, get into the emotion. And now, so I've done this exercise, and that's what I use when you're like, oh, you got all these different things. I do, as long as, and I'll say yes to a lot of things as long as it takes me in the direction of my perfect day.
I love it. We got about 10 seconds left, guys.
If it
Listen,
does,
I'm going to have Phebe back again. You have to come back. That's the show. Thank you so much for being here, Phebe. I really, really appreciate it. And the replay will be up after this in a little while, guys. Thanks a lot, Phebe.
awesome. Thanks, Danny. Thanks
All
for
right. Okay, bye.